We join you now at 6 as LA is under a citywide tactical alert after clashes erupt between anti-ICE protesters and law enforcement, federal law enforcement. Good evening once again, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Michael Brownlee. This all started as a nationwide day of protest, standing in solidarity with Minneapolis here. But as you can see, protesters are outside the federal building here, clashing with federal officers that are barricaded inside.
Also, the LAPD is on scene on a tactical alert. Our McCullough Medina is also live downtown with new details for us. Mac?
Well, we have been here with protesters along Alameda and Temple right now. Take a look behind me. You can see many of the protesters that were near that Metropolitan Detention Center have come here to this intersection. We've moved away, but you can still smell the tinge of some of the tear gas and pepper ball sprays that were shot at protesters about an hour ago. Many of these protesters were coughing and certainly trying to wash out some of the remnants of those pepper spray balls just a short time ago. Now, we are told by LAPD, we actually heard them from the chopper. They gave folks about 10 minutes to disperse before they would take their next action, whatever that might be. And we have seen a lot more of these protesters move out of the way. I did talk to a protester named Angel a short time ago. She described what she saw when the police first opened fire with those pepper ball shots as well as the tear gas. Listen.
Yeah, people were being loud. Yeah, they were hitting the gate. I saw people hitting it with their hands. I saw them spray. A cloud of smoke just went through the gates, and they just started spraying people. That's when everybody got agitated, but people had backed up for the main part. Then they were starting to push themselves out. I don't know what happened. They started throwing things at protesters. I don't know if it was, weapons or gas canisters. I don't know what, but they were doing something. Protesters started pushing them back. No one was getting touched. I have videos of it too. No one was getting touched, but they're creating a wall.
And that's what's happening here at the intersection of Temple and Alameda. Certainly a lot of protesters here. That's the latest. Back to you.
All right, to Mac, from the ground here, we want to take it up now, top side to News Chapter 4 in Eliana Moreno. Eliana?
Okay, we're going to take the picture from News Chopper 4, and as we look at it here, we talked about the officers being on several corners here, but you see a large line of protesters out there as well. I believe, once again, this is Alameda and, what was it, Aliso? Aliso out there?
Yeah.
You see the officers have declared a tactical alert, and they have advised the protesters out there they need to disperse and leave the area.
All right, so we want to bring in our investigative reporter, Eric Leonard, who has been watching these live pictures here from News Chopper 4 as well. Eric, what can you glean from what you're watching here now with the LAPD now in full force?
Yeah, I think we're seeing sort of what we expected to have happen, which was that the LAPD was going to start moving on this crowd at some point. We know that there was a dispersal order given. That's usually when the police decide this meets the criteria for what they'll call an unlawful assembly, and that gives them the legal standing to start pushing people out of the street for what would otherwise be a lawful protest. The first order of business, as we watched just in the last couple of minutes, was freeing up those buses that had been stuck in the intersection with a number of the demonstrators standing right in front of them so they couldn't move. That LAPD skirmish line that formed on the, I believe that's the Alameda Street Bridge right over the 101, they immediately pushed people away from those buses and got the buses out of there, cleared the intersection, and now it looks like they're pushing everybody to the south. Down Alameda Street and away. And as we were talking about just a few minutes ago, the officers have to give people a way out. And right now it looks like it's to the south.
And it is interesting as we look at this picture here, it does appear that many of the protesters are moving, albeit slowly, to the south there.
It does, and ideally that would resolve this situation if people willingly just left. But as we've seen in a lot of these demonstrations, sometimes the whole purpose of it is to be there and not leave and get their message out. And if the LAPD has also made the decision that it's an unlawful assembly and they've decided to choose a course of action, push everyone out of the street, that's a lot of times where we've seen some of the friction and confrontations between some of the more determined demonstrators and the officers who've been sent there just to clear the street and make everybody go home.
You know, Eric, the LAPD issued a dispersal order giving these folks 10 minutes. Eliana says they're usually pretty gracious with that 10 minutes. What happens next?
Well, the 10 minutes is part of, I think, the minimum that they're allowed. They have to give people an opportunity to leave once a decision has been made that it's an unlawful assembly and everyone's got to go. Once some period of time has elapsed, and it's very clear that everyone there has heard that order, heard the dispersal order. That's why they do it from the helicopter, and then oftentimes they'll do it with public address systems from the ground. Then they can start using physical force to do it. As we were discussing in the last hour, if the people that they are moving in against are not putting up a physical fight, they're not assaulting the officers, then mostly what happens is they get shoved out of the way. If, however, there are people in the crowd that start throwing things at the officers or resisting in other ways, then sometimes we see an escalation of physical force. One of the unusual things that I think we're seeing happening right now is that the LAPD has kind of stopped that line right where the big driveway for the federal courthouse and the federal lockup garage entrance is, because that property is really the responsibility of the federal authorities. It'll be interesting to see if we see any of them come outside from that garage to push people out of the driveway, or that's going to be something that the LAPD has to deal with. But those officers will have to go on to federal property to keep that line intact as they move south on Alameda.
We just want to note as well, you notice the squad cars there. The LAPD has moved up and beyond that intersection, so they will continue to walk back this skirmish line for a little bit. I can tell you as well, our Darsha Phillips is in the downtown area. Darsha, give us an idea of where you are and what you're seeing.
Well, Colleen, we're right in front of City Hall, and you guys are talking about the dispersal order on Alameda. And what we've seen in past protests is when those dispersal orders come out, it really just moves the protesters to different areas of the city. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. We do see some groups of people that are coming toward Grand Park here in front of City Hall, and they are gathering. They're mostly peaceful here. There's just music that's playing. They are spilling out into the street here, which is causing traffic, as you see, to have to go around them. But people here are demonstrating peacefully. I want to show you the steps of City Hall. They've got their, this is kind of where they are gathering, getting signs. City Hall has put up the gates, and people are still there protesting. You see some officers there protecting City Hall. It appears that there might be some tear gas or pepper spray in the air right now, so I apologize for how I sound. But we haven't seen anything that has been disruptive here like you guys have seen in Alameda, but we have noticed that there are more people who are walking towards City Hall and walking toward this area where it seems that this might be a staging area. But again, it seems like there must have been some sort of pepper spray in the air. I'm going to send it back to you while I catch my breath here. But like I said, this is a dynamic situation. Just moments ago, everything was fine, but when people came through, it did feel like there was something in the air. But right now, I do want to show you, this is where it appears folks are gathering and grouping, and we are seeing more people come to this area right on Spring Street in front of City Hall. And I have been able to speak to some of the protesters, and I want to remind you that these protesters, the peaceful ones, are here because they feel that their voice isn't being heard, and this is the only way that they can get their voice to be heard. But we are going to have much more on this. We're going to stay here with this group, and we will bring you developments as they become available. But Colleen, Michael, we'll send it back to you.
All right. I know, Darsha, you're dealing with an irritant in your throat here, but it's a very short answer. Do we see the same or a sense of LAPD presence where you are, like we are seeing here on the Alameda Street Bridge?
No, I would say not. These are the only officers that we see right here that are protecting City Hall, and there's just about 4 of them, but definitely not a huge police presence in front of City Hall tonight.
All right, Darsha, I'm going to let you catch your breath there. We're going to go back up to Ileana Marino in News Chopper 4. Ileana, we've been watching the LAPD sort of inch forward a little bit, a little bit, a little bit.
Inch by inch, they continue to work their way south, Colleen, along Temple, right in front of the Metropolitan Detention Center. And you can see that the crowd itself has decreased significantly. I'll widen out the shot so you can get a better idea of just how many folks are left out here. And if you can just remember what it looked like about an hour ago when we got overhead, we're talking at least 1,000 people compared to what is maybe now just a couple hundred. But they're still out here right in front of the doors there to the garage area of the Metropolitan Detention Center as LAPD officers from all over the city continue to push this skirmish line to the south. Now, the folks out here have been told that they are to leave or could possibly be arrested, but they are not being trapped in a way where they can't simply walk away, because as I'll tilt up and show you, this is Temple at Alameda. That is still completely wide open. Folks are free to just simply walk away and not be arrested. But you have some that are still standing firm here right in front of the Metropolitan Detention Center, refusing to move as LAPD inches closer and closer.
All right, so Eliana Moreno live for us in News Chopper 4. We, of course, will keep our eyes on this. Again, a citywide tactical alert issued amid anti-ICE protest here in downtown Los Angeles.